introduce you to our two hosts this evening. We have Cabby, who is on screen at the moment. He's one of our top and amazing tutors. He's in his third year of graduate entry medicine, and he also has a first class honours in biochem from Warwick. And we also have the wonderful Eleni, who is the assistant head of admissions at the University of Nicosia Medical School. And I will hand you over.
Perfect. All right. So, I'll just share my screen and we'll get going. Okay. Hopefully everyone can see this. If not, let us know in the chat. We'll hopefully sort out any technical difficulties as we go. Otherwise,
It's good. It's good.
perfect. Otherwise, we're here to learn about how many routes there are into medicine. I think we've got a bit of a schedule. So first of all, we're going to look into the alternative routes. We'll have a quick list. We'll have a Q&A at the end, and Eleni will also be providing some information from Nicosia as well. Okay. So I mean, I think I was introduced fairly well. There's not much to me, but I've been in like the medical admissions space for a bit now. But Eleni definitely has a lot more insight than me. So you're in good hands for today. Um, okay. I think the best place to start would be just to have a quick run up of what the traditional journey looks like, which I'm sure all of you are aware of already. But the important thing is keeping this in mind because it applies and the other routes into medicine sort of look the same sometimes. The key checkpoints, of course, are having a strong personal statement that you sort of build up throughout your year 12, year 13-ish. But you can still keep building it in from now until whenever you do apply, whichever year you're hoping to get entry into. Getting a high UCAT score or getting a good UCAT score that's competitive for the universities you want to apply to. Um, of course, there's also another admissions test, the GAMSAT, that you might be aware of. We'll talk about that in a little bit of time. Um, and more importantly, I think if you're applying in the UK only, strategically submitting a UCAS application and applying to the four right universities that you think would be the best fit for you and your scores and sort of your admissions as a whole. Um, and finally, doing a bit of interview prep. And I think every stage has a sort of hurdle, and you're usually like it's a big weight off your shoulders the more you move forward. But the important thing is you've got to keep in mind they all kind of stack up. So even if your UCAT score is not as good, having a good interview stage, having a strong personal statement really do bump you up a lot. But step one is, of course, getting to the interview stage. Step two is getting the offer. Um, but what are the alternative routes and what do they sort of look like? I think it's important here to note there is roughly you want to have a roadmap of where you are currently. If you're at the stage where you don't have any offers currently, that's fine. And you know you need to move forward. You need to do a bit of thinking in whether you want to take a gap year, whether you want to reapply again this year, or whether you want to do a bit of work and then come back. And there's a lot of paths for you. Hopefully, we'll give you a bit of light today on what some of the paths might look like. But more importantly, kind of what we talked about earlier regarding your UK, your personal statement have a bit of a think of what let you down this admission cycle. Was it your personal statement? Was it your UCAT? Was it your interview stage? All information is helpful, and it's really important you write down what let you down and therefore what you should improve in your next admission cycle. Even if you decide to go the graduate entry route, it's important to have all that information. And I'll go into my story a little bit in a second. So broadly, I was in your position, right? So I only got one offer and I didn't really meet my offer at in year 13 summer. So I was at a bit of a stage where I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. And the first thing I remember doing was just writing down what the different paths are. And this is broadly what they look like. You've got the original route, you've got your gap year, whether you go traveling, whether you do a bit of work experience, all these things, and then going reapplying, and therefore the traditional UK route. Doing an undergrad degree and then reapplying back to undergrad medicine. That's another valid route. And then doing these access and foundation courses that sometimes appear on clearing, but most of the time people have to apply to them or there's some other paths into them, and they vary case by case. And then again, reapplying via the traditional route or whether going through that university and following that path. Um, and then there's two unique ones. So all of these four kind of follow at the end, you go via the original UK route anyway. But there's two others, and that's doing your undergrad and going into graduate entry medicine, which is what I have most of my experience in. or studying abroad, somewhere in Europe or elsewhere. The important part here, and this is like my top tip for you, reach out to people who've taken these paths. LinkedIn is your best friend here. Google people, like Google the university that you're kind of aiming for, and on LinkedIn you can see all the people there and for the course that you want to be into. For the traditional UK route, this might be helpful if like your interview stage wasn't as good. Getting in touch with med students on LinkedIn, a lot of them will have a lot of helpful information. In the same way, for me, it was more reaching out to people who'd got into Warwick because I really wanted to go there as my fifth option. Um, and I got a lot of good information on what the course looks like and what my exit options maybe into a PhD or graduate entry medicine might look like. And that really helps me figure out what to do later. In the same way, if you're thinking about studying abroad, reach out to those universities and people in those universities. But at the end of the day, all of them lead to you becoming a doctor. And I think it's kind of best illustrated. As you can see, most of those routes are by the traditional UK route, but all of them will lead to the end goal. Okay, a bit about my story then. So, like I told you, I only had one offer that I didn't meet at the end of year 13. And so I really wanted to continue my education. And that was a lot of thinking on my end. I had a bit of a summer job, working as a GP receptionist for a bit over summer in year 13 summer. So around this time, okay, it's been a while now. This time in 2021. And I was thinking about taking a gap year, and I wasn't sure whether that would be for me. However, the main thing here is I talked to my parents. I talked to, more importantly, my admissions tutor at school. They advised me to think about if I didn't really have a plan for a gap year, I didn't have any work experience lined up, it'd be really, really difficult to secure any this late. Not impossible, but difficult. And I wasn't really in the mood to spend time sort of dilly-dallying. And therefore, I took my fifth option, and I went to Warwick. And the important thing here is I picked a fifth option that I really liked, and I had a bit of information in that last month. So I really enjoyed my course, and it gave me a lot of opportunity to explore doing PhDs, biotech consulting, and all these things. And at the end of the 3 years of my undergrad, I think it really helped me sort of aim for graduate entry medicine because I knew that's what I wanted to do. And it makes your application significantly stronger. The important thing here is whatever degree, whatever sort of path you decide to take in that gap year, it's important to do it well. So I got a first in my degree, which wasn't easy, but it was very useful when applying for graduate entry medicine for me. The same would apply if I applied to an undergrad medicine course afterwards. The other important thing I think is relevant is what admissions tests you need to do. So there's two broadly if you decide to go the graduate route. So there's the GAMSAT and the UCAT. You only need to do the UCAT if you're just applying to undergrad medicine courses. The GAMSAT is for a few graduate entry ones, and it also applies in Australia as well. And so that was an option that I considered. I applied to two universities in Australia, but the tuition fees were extremely expensive, and I couldn't secure a loan, so I didn't go that down that route. What you'll notice though is I kind of covered all bases that we talked about before. So there was looking into all the traditional routes. I didn't really want to apply to undergraduate medicine again because that'd be 5 years on top of the 3 years I'd already done. So that'd be 8 years, which for me was a bit too long. Doing GAMSAT and applying to a graduate entry medicine course would have been 7 years, which is roughly the same as doing an intercalation a year, which normally takes 6 years in some med schools if you go by the traditional route. And to me, that was a pretty good compromise because I'd got to see a bit more of the world, learn more about myself, and get into a lot of my hobbies that I really enjoy now. And the final thing was considering applying abroad. So I applied to Ireland, Australia, and I think two universities in Europe. And I had a list of all these things written down, and I kind of just shot my shot everywhere. And the good thing was, considering, the time conditions and how long each route takes was really important to me. But having all this information marked out before and during my 3 years at university gave me a much better chance when I was applying the second time around. So make sure that you weigh the pros and cons and you sort of follow a bit of a track and you kind of throw yourself like a bit of a plan down the road. That's really, really helpful. Okay. Now studying abroad is really, really interesting to me because I think it's the most it's the most vulnerable option, right? Because you're going away from what is usually like most people's homes in the UK, and you're going to a new country with a completely different admission cycle, a completely different environment. but they're not all very different to the way medicine's taught in the UK, especially entry routes in the EU. A lot of the universities there require you to sit the UKMLA, which is the UK medical licensing assessment that every doctor has to do. But there are some exceptions. Nicosia is one of those exceptions. So it works pretty much exactly the same as a normal UK med school, which is quite unique. The US, for example, in Canada, you would need to sit an undergraduate degree either here or in the US, and then you can apply for a medical school there. It becomes much harder because you have to sit the USMLE as well as the UKMLA if you want to come back, and there's also other admissions tests that they like are different for every university there. So your workload really stacks up if you're aiming to go really west. Or staying in the EU is a lot easier, I think. But the other thing that's also important to remember is considering tuition costs, which is something I didn't really consider. In the UK, it's something that, like everyone can get a student loan if you're a home student. But applying to these, to the US, for example, you'd be an international student. But again, a lot of EU countries, you might not be considered an international student. So keep this in mind and do a bit of due diligence. Okay, handing over to Eleni then, to tell you a bit more about the University of Nicosia, which I think is really, really good, has a really good pathway that I'd be happy to consider.
Thank you so much, Kavi, for your insights and presentation. I'm going to share with you my PowerPoint. Can you see the full screen, Kavi?
Yeah, seems good to me.
Great, thank you so much. So hello, everybody. I'm Eleni Kamitsi. I'm Assistant Head of Admissions at the University of Nicosia Medical School. A little bit of a background. I've been at the medical school since inception in 2011 when we were offering one program of medicine, which was the MBBS program from the St. George's of London, the UK. Now, after 15 years, we are offering only under the umbrella of the medical school 6 programs. So let's zoom out just in case you don't know where Cyprus is located. Cyprus is part of the European Union. It is an island in the Mediterranean Sea. It is a gateway between Europe, the Middle East, Africa, and the rest of the world. We boast 300 days of sunshine. We have amazing beaches, very safe place to study. The majority of the people do speak in English. We were a British colony, so therefore, a lot of the people speak English. We have a lot of tourists, so we are also very well known for our hospitality. Nicosia, which is the capital of Cyprus, has been ranked #1 small city for lifestyle and education. So the University of Nicosia, which is the umbrella which the university, the medical school falls under, has been around for more than 40 years. We have nearly 12,000 students from all over the world. We're the #1 largest university in Southern Europe, which teaches primarily in English. As mentioned, we were the first medical school in Cyprus offering the St. George's MBBS. The University of Nicosia offers more than 100 different programs, and we boast a lot of many research centers and modern buildings. Just a quick rundown of the rankings of the University of Nicosia. It has been ranked in the top 2% universities in the world, top 501 to 600 universities globally for the 3rd consecutive year, the first amongst Greek and Cyprus universities, and as mentioned about Nicosia, #1 small city. We've got 2 campuses. One is the established one in Cyprus. And as of October 2025, we have opened our campus in Athens, Greece. Now, as far as the medical school is concerned, the Athens, Greece campus houses only an undergraduate MD degree. Okay, we also have a graduate entry MD degree, which currently is only being offered in Cyprus. So this is an aerial view of our Cyprus campus. We've got 3 student residences. Let me just close here a bit so that maybe you can see. There we go. We've got 3 student residences, and this is a picture of a rooftop swimming pool, which is on top of one of the residences. First-year medical students have first priority for the places at the student residences, because the majority of our medical students are international students. I'd say around 80 to 85% are international students and away from home. We boast state-of-the-art facilities. Our anatomy center, anatomy lab, we house real cadavers for anatomy sessions. We've imported the cadavers from Plastination Center in Germany. We also have clinical skills labs, our laboratories, and basically the clinical skills is where we have the OSCE exams, the practical exams, where we hire actors to act as simulated patients for the exams. And the Greece campus also has the same similar specialized wards, simulated wards, amphitheaters, and specialized laboratories. So let's zoom a little bit more into the medical school. We were the first medical school in Cyprus. Our alumni has been placed in over 20 countries from all over the world, in places such as residency, training, internships, research, including UK. UK is a big destination for our graduates. USA, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. We're also listed in the World Directory of Medical Schools. And this is just an idea of the number of graduates for both our MBBS and MD programs. So we've got excellent employability rate. The different programs that we offer is our undergraduate 6-year MD degree, which is for our high school graduates. And we offer a 5-year graduate entry MD degree, which is for degree holders. This MBBS we were offering for 10 years, and mainly because of the Brexit, we have replaced this program with our own graduate entry MD degree. We also offer postgraduate programs, including a Doctor of Veterinary Medicine program. I would say the student support is a big asset, a big value of the University of Nicosia, because we want our students to succeed. All students have a personal tutor which guides them, that they have to have regular meetings with in order to identify any academic issues. I know from experience with medical school admissions that a lot of other medical schools, they recruit many students in the first year, and what happens in the second year? They fail, they drop out. We don't want that. We want our students to succeed, so we give them emphasis on student support so that they can succeed. There's career support that helps the students post-graduation, where they want to eventually go and study and do internship. The healthy body, healthy mind concept that we give occupational health and counseling services to our students. Student services, which helps with the non-academic area of the student life. So now we've zoomed into our 6-year MD degree. It is delivered in English. It is a 6-year program, as mentioned. It is accredited by the Cyprus Quality Assurance Agency, World Federation of Medical Education Standards, and there is an agreement between EU countries of the professional qualification recognition. In other words, if you study medicine in an EU country, you can then go practice medicine in an EU country with maybe some local requirements. The admission criteria for the 6-year degree, if you have A levels, is a combination of grades of A, B, B, including biology, which is the required subject, plus either chemistry, physics, or maths. The third A level could be in any subject. We accept basically most high school qualifications. So depending on what qualification you have, you can send that across to us and we can evaluate for you. If it's the standard high school diploma, it's 90% overall with similar grades in the sciences. If you've done the IB, it's an overall of 32 with high level at 16 to include biology and at least one of the sciences. And the third higher level IB could be in any subject. You will undergo an online MMI. And of course, if you're not native English, in other words, undertaken your high school in the UK and have a UK passport, you're regarded as native. However, if you do not have a UK passport, you will be required to take provide proof of English proficiency. And like I've mentioned, an interview, which is more about your personality and your motivations to wanting to study medicine. We do not ask any questions about academic questions or scientific questions. So there's different training facilities for our students in Cyprus. We have our own University of Nicosia Medical Center, which basically serves the needs of the local community. It's part of the healthcare system and excellent training opportunity for our students. So years 5 and 6 are the clinical years where you will do rotations in all specialties of medicine. Prior to that, the students will undertake basically shadow doctors in most of the private hospitals and clinics in Cyprus. And then years 5 and 6, we've got 2 main training facilities, which is Limassol General Hospital and Bathurst General Hospital. We do give free Greek lessons to all our students starting from the beginning of the first year. However, like mentioned, our program is delivered in English. Outside of Cyprus, we've got different teaching hospitals, including Greece, Switzerland, at the East London Hospital, UK, which is the Lewisham and Greenwich Health NHS Trust, Germany at the Constance Healthcare Network, and the United States at the Swedish Covenant Hospital. Do keep in mind that visa and immigration and language requirements need to be met for most of these teaching hospitals. And there are clinical training supplement fees, for example, for the UK, which is €3,000 per semester. Must also keep in mind that the number of students in each site is based on clinical capacity. So I would mention about the UK, what is the requirement is that you need to have a UK passport in order to be eligible to apply for your teaching rotations at the Lewisham and Greenwich Trust. There's similar opportunities for clinical training in our Athens campus. Of course, so keep in mind visa and immigration language requirement need to be met. The tuition is €24,000 per year for our Cyprus campus for the MD degree, 6-year. There's scholarships available based on financial need of the sponsor, reducing the tuition to €19,200 if you get this full 20%. And living costs in Cyprus, I would say, is around €11,000 per year. Our Athens campus, the tuition is a little bit different. For EU students, it's €28,320, whereas for non-EU students, in other words, UK students, it's €30,420 per year. We also provide scholarships of 20% based on financial need. So now I'm going to quickly go through our 5-year graduate entry MD degree. If you took the path like Kavi, that you decided to take the graduate entry route in order to do a bachelor's degree first, we also offer that option. It's a 5-year degree delivered in English and also accredited by Cyprus Quality Assurance Agency. There's also degree recognition across the EU. The entry requirements for our graduate entry MD degree is that, just hold on, that's better, is a bachelor's degree with a 2-2 from the UK or equivalent if it's out of the UK. We need either the MCAT, an overall of 198. The GAMSAT is 55 minimum with 50 in each sections, or the UCAT, which is an overall of 1,875 with a minimum of 500 in each section. The UCAT is only applicable for bachelor degree holders in the life sciences or biomedical science. We also have the YEDA, which is applicable for Israeli candidates. We also require English proficiency if you're not a UK passport holder, and you also undergo an online interview. The tuition for our graduate entry MD degree is 25,000 euros per year. And just keep in mind the clinical placement fees outside of Cyprus. The scholarships for our graduate entry MD degree is 20% for years 1 to 5 based on demonstrated financial need. If you are a bachelor degree holder for a life science subject, you get 30% scholarship for year 1. And for the remaining years, you can apply for a 20% scholarship based on financial need. If you've got a high MCAT, GAMSAT, or YEDA exam, and you are not a holder of a health or life science degree, you will be able to get a 30% scholarship for year 1 and a 20% scholarship for the remaining years. So we have great student activities and organizations. We've got student societies, clubs, there's activities and community outreach. For example, we've got the mobile clinic that goes out into the villages of Cyprus, and they meet the local community who don't have easy access to medical care. And it's a very exciting initiative because the local people get so excited that they get attention. And the medical students, they feel like mini doctors. So it's really a win-win situation. So if you're interested for applying, just to let you know that we only have one intake per year, which is in September. And if you're still interested to apply for this year, we are still accepting applications. It's based on rolling admission process, inviting the students for the MMI interview. So if you're interested, please do reach out to our admissions email address, send us an email, contact us. I'm sure if you're waiting for your A-levels soon, you can send that across to us so that we can assist you. Our program starts 21st of September, so we have to move very fast because as UK passport holders, you're unfortunately not part of the EU anymore, so you need to undergo the visa process for a student. Migration process for a student visa. And that is all.
Great. Thank you very much, Andy.
Thank you all so much. As mentioned on the chat channel, this will be recorded. This has been recorded, should I say, and it will be sent out to you over the next week. But thank you so much to our fantastic hosts. This has been really, really good and really useful. So thank you. Have a lovely evening, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.